Late last night during qualifying, yes, during Daytona 500 qualifying, there was a stern bomb. Now, it's nothing confirmed or anything in terms of a deal, but it was reported that NASCAR and Honda have held discussions about potentially joining forces, or Honda joining NASCAR. Now, nothing is locked in once again, but there's a little article about said discussions, if it could happen, that kind of thing. So we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to give you my picks for the duels tonight, who I think is going to win each duel, and then also who I think makes the Daytona 500. And then as for everything else in terms of the channel this week, as I said, tonight we're going to talk about the duels. Tomorrow, Friday, I'm going to give you my Daytona 500 preview. I'm going to give you my pick to win the race, show you guys some odds for the race. Saturday, if it doesn't get rained out, an Xfinity video. Sunday, if it doesn't get rained out, the Daytona 500 video. We'll talk about the race. But if it both get rained out, I may do a live stream or something. I haven't decided yet. I will let you know in the community post. Once again, feel free to join our NASCAR Fantasy League. But as for this Honda NASCAR thing, how legit is it? Well, let's read the report, shall we? NASCAR COO Steve O'Donnell says negotiations to add a new auto manufacturer for competition are heating up. The racing series starts its 2024 regular season this weekend at Daytona, and it's NASCAR's biggest weekend, not only for things like viewership and attendance, but also with hosting high-level corporate titans, including those from automotive brands. NASCAR has been searching for over a decade to find a fourth manufacturer, or what the industry refers to as original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, to join Chevrolet, Ford, and Toyota. Dodge left the sport in 2012, though it held talks about re-entering around 2022. NASCAR has also been chasing Honda for years and remains in discussions with the automaker, according to a person familiar with the matter. So yeah, that's a lot to process there. One is that Dodge was back in discussions with NASCAR in 2022. Ultimately, as we know, here in 2024, nothing ended up happening with that, and it could be the same thing here with Honda. But NASCAR's been looking for a new manufacturer for quite a while. 2007 was the last time NASCAR added a new manufacturer, and they are still here today, Toyota. But Chevy's been around forever. Ford has been around forever. But we have seen a lot of manufacturers leave. Most recently, as noted, Dodge left at the end of 2012. We've seen, Pontiac leave. We've seen numerous manufacturers leave, and some of those are not just due to NASCAR. It was due to their own issues, the company shutting down, whatever it may be. But NASCAR seems to have been seeking out a fourth manufacturer for quite a few years now, and rumors swirl, reports swirl like this one. And it's a question of, is it going to happen? So right now, I think it's a bit of a long shot, but the fact that they are talking is a good thing. And I think a fourth manufacturer is great for NASCAR. It's new eyes on the sport. It's a new engine in the car. It's a new brand in the sport, which is always a good thing if you ask me in terms of a car manufacturer. So I think it would be great. As for if it's going to happen, obviously, if it does happen, I don't think it happens immediately. I think it would take a few years to happen. There's a lot of questions, who would join the manufacturer. And then obviously the manufacturer has said something itself. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about, where Honda sits right now. So then the article, Adam Stern says that they asked Honda and Acura Motorsports manager Chuck Shifsky, might have pronounced that wrong, and he said, as part of our role managing American Honda's motorsports programs, we need to investigate all forms of motorsport here in the U.S., and as a part of that process, educate ourselves on what race fans are looking for. With that said, we have nothing new to report in terms of our future motorsport direction. Now, obviously, Honda is in multiple U.S. motorsports, one of the big ones being IndyCar, but there were reports that came out late in the fall, I think winter last year in 2023, that Honda could potentially leave IndyCar. I think it's either at the end of 2025 or end of 2026, whenever that deal expires due to rising costs. Well, NASCAR with this next-gen car has emphasized the purpose of this next-gen car is to make it more cost-efficient for teams, so therefore the manufacturers would be involved in that as well. So, if NASCAR had a more cost-efficient car compared to IndyCar potentially, would Honda make the jump from IndyCar over to, NASCAR. Now, once again, there's no confirmation. There's still a couple years left on that deal if if Honda were to leave IndyCar. So nothing is for sure there. There's nothing for sure in any of this. But if Honda were to leave IndyCar, would they hop over to the other American motorsport of NASCAR? We'll see. I mean, I personally love NASCAR. I think it'd be a good decision for them. But we'll see what ends up happening. And then as for teams who could potentially join Honda, I think the first team I thought of when I heard fourth manufacturer was Stewart-Haas Racing. Stewart-Haas Racing, they were with Chevy for their first 8 to 10 years, however long it was. At the end of 2016, that was it for Chevy. They moved on to Ford in 2017. They've been with Ford ever since. They've had a lot of success with both manufacturers, but as of today, it's been going the wrong direction. And whether it's a Stewart-Haas Racing thing, whether it's a Ford thing, Ford has won the last 2 championships, so you could argue it's more of a Stewart-Haas thing. But if Stewart-Haas Racing feels that something needs to change in their team and that needs to be a manufacturer, and Honda does come into the sport, let's say 2026, 2027, then maybe Stewart-Haas, they take advantage of this new manufacturer and they jump over to a Honda. Stewart-Haas Racing, their contract with Ford, I think, is up either at the end of this year or next year. So they do have a decision to make if they want to stay with Ford, if they want to go elsewhere. So they do have a decision to make. We'll see what that decision ends up being. But they were the first team I thought of. Other teams potentially, maybe a Colleague. Colleague's been with Chevy their whole time, but, if they wanted to test the waters. But their thing is, I guess Stewart-Haas Racing has this same problem, is that they are a Cup and Xfinity team. So you'd have to switch both teams to the new manufacturer. And that's another, point. Would they power all 3 series? Would they have a Cup Series car? Would they have an Xfinity and a truck? I would guess that they would fully commit to NASCAR, but you never know. And then the next question is, with all these car manufacturers these days committing to becoming more environmentally friendly, whether it's going electric, having more sustainable fuels and gas, whatever it may be, would Honda want some kind of commitment from NASCAR to say, hey, look, we're going to try to make the cars more environmentally friendly. We'll do this, this, and this. And then if Honda sees that, they see the commitment, they see NASCAR's plan, would they then join? But if they don't see that plan, that ends up being a problem for them. I'm curious, what Honda would need to see from NASCAR to join. But Honda, as I said, they have a lot of history in motorsports, IndyCar, Formula One. They come and go from Formula One like every 5 to 10 years. They left Red Bull at the end of 2021 officially, and then they were still kind of there in 2022. And they're coming back with Aston Martin 2026. So Honda, I don't know what their plan is. But there's a lot of questions with this that have been raised. And if it's going to happen, I don't expect it to be 2024, or obviously it's not 2024, but I don't expect it to be 2025. Even 2026 might be a reach. But when that IndyCar deal expires, if they were to leave IndyCar, could NASCAR say, hey, Honda, come on over? Could that be a possibility? So as I said, lots of questions being raised with this topic being brought up. I personally would love to see a fourth manufacturer in NASCAR. I think it would be great, as I said, for everyone. It'd be great for NASCAR to have, new cars on the track, whether it's a Honda Civic, Honda Accord. It would be great to have new eyeballs on the sport. It would be great. It's great from every point of view. So I hope that this report ends up, being good. I hope that NASCAR, Honda end up teaming up in the future. But as of now, I'm still considering it a little bit of a long shot. There's just too many question marks right now, and especially with Honda's commitment to other motorsports, especially in America, then that they may not be willing to extend out as much. And then once again, as for teams that they could go to, Stewart-Haas Racing, that was the first one that came to my mind. So let me know what team, if Honda were to come into NASCAR, let me know what team you think Honda would join. But yeah, let's go to the Daytona 500. Let's make some picks for the duels tonight. Well, actually, before that, while I was looking for the duels starting lineups, we got some in-video breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of manufacturers in NASCAR, Front Row Motorsports announces an extension with Ford and an alliance with Team Penske. This deal was done well before the front row was set yesterday. So yeah, that's obviously Front Row has been with Ford for quite a few years now. They've had a lot of success in recent years, winning the 2021 Daytona 500, winning last year at the Indianapolis Road Course. They made playoffs in 2 of the last 3 years. I think that's a great deal for them to be associated, obviously, with Team Penske as well, the team that's won the last 2 Cup Series championships. That's an absolute win-win. Front Row is on the rise. Team Penske is at the top. It's a good partnership. And then also Front Row staying with Ford is great for them because, as I said, of that recent success, they've shown a lot of speed in this next-gen era. And if they can continue to make steps forward, dare I say one day, they could be a contender. So as for duel number 1, who am I going to pick to win? Who am I going to pick to make the Daytona 500? As for the win, I mean, this is such a toss-up. You know, the duels are much more chill than the 500, actually, but something does happen every once in a while. There's a lot of Chevrolets at the front of that field. I'm going to go with Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon's a really good super speedway racer. He's got an RCR engine, very fast, so I'm Austin Dillon. As for who makes the race, Anthony Alfredo. He's in on speed, even if he's the highest finishing open car. He's in regardless. He could wreck on lap 1. He could park at lap 1. I'm pretty sure he still makes the 500. So it comes down to, in that first duel, will it be J.J. Yeley or Jimmie Johnson? I think Jimmie Johnson gets in. Ultimately, while he did not have the speed yesterday in the single car, he's going to run better than J.J. Yeley ultimately. So I believe in Jimmie Johnson to beat J.J. Yeley. That is what I'm saying here. If you're shocked by that, sorry. And then ultimately, if he crashes and gets beat by J.J. Yeley, well then, wow, I was very wrong. As for the next thing, or the next duel, I guess, that second duel, there's a lot of Fords up there. Ford has been fast at these super speedways before. I'm going to go with the defending champion. I think Ryan Blaney wins duel number 2. So Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney will be your duel winners. As for that final spot in the Daytona 500, David Ragan is in on speed. But who will it be? Will it be Kaz Grala in the 36? Will it be B.J. McLeod in the 78? I hate to do this, but I think Kaz Grala makes the Daytona 500. I love B.J. McLeod. I love Live Fast Motorsports, but ultimately, Kaz Grala's got the speed. I think the only way McLeod or Yeley make the 500 is if there's a crash and it involves Jimmie Johnson or ultimately Kaz Grala. I just think those cars have speed, or if Kaz Grala's car doesn't get fixed, but I'm assuming it does. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, join our NASCAR Fantasy League. Hope you enjoyed it. We talked about a lot of potentials today. Really no hard, like, oh, it's happening. But, we threw out some ideas. Stewart Haas Racing, would they join Honda? Firstly, is Honda going to join NASCAR? But thanks for watching again. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you tonight after the duels.